discussed in city council meeting, there was tons of stuff on the agenda. One of them was a proposed expenditure, and this is just talking about it, correct, of remodeling City Hall. So as far as stages go and what you guys discussed that night, what kind of went on there?
Yeah, so it's really renovation of City Hall to meet two needs related to our finance department and our information services department. And both are in spaces in City Hall that don't work perfectly for the work that they're doing. And so the request was for council to consider doing some renovations, flipping where information services and finance department are, and then reconstructing those areas so that they work well for the divisions and the units that are doing the work there. To your point, yes, it was an initial discussion for council to talk about. We anticipate that in a January meeting, those items will come back and council can actually decide if it's something that they'd like to pursue.
Okay, I see. So this is initial stages of discussing that and be like, okay, with the costs associated and what would go on, how long it would take and whatnot. But as far as, you know, what that may look like, would it be expanding their space? Would it be just flipping it into a different rooms, maybe changing layout and whatnot?
Yeah, absolutely. So what was discussed during council was that information services, the nature of their work has grown so much in the last 2 decades. In fact, it was only 6 or 7 years ago that we didn't even have an information services department. It was just a division under another department. But the need for technology has grown so much across the city that that department has grown. And consequently, they're kind of like sardines in their cubicles. There's 2 to a cubicle and they crowd around. And so the space that they're in is not ideal for the layout of the cubicle. So if we moved them to another area of City Hall, we could actually get more usable footage from them being in a different area. And the same thing is true for finance, where they are in their area was originally laid out for engineers and developers to gather around and look at plans. But if you think about the work that finance folks do as they're dealing with money, as they're counting, as they're tabulating, they need kind of private focused areas. So this big open area that has some cubicles in it isn't actually ideal for a finance setup. They need more closed door office space. So yeah, it would be flipping them, it would be maybe putting up some walls, setting things up so that both business units can work effectively for our residents where they are.
And speaking on the growth of the IT department specifically, so 6 to 7 years, is that when they like started and whatnot? And talking about that change over time and Longview's need for ITs, so how has that growth been over time? Why is that?
Yeah, so I mean, flashback 20 years ago, you have 3 or 4 or 5 people doing technology needs for the entire city, right? And you flash back 6 or 7 years ago to where they became a department, and you're talking more like 15 to 18 employees. And now we have more than 20 employees who are helping with technology across the city, and that's not surprising. Your viewers can consider their reliance on technology for everything they do day to day. The city of Longview is no different. So truly, it has been, over the course of, say, the last 2 decades, real steady growth in that department, just as the needs grow and as we find new ways to meet our residents' expectations for service.
And for finance too, initially, has that group kind of grown over time too? Or specifically just realizing their needs and being like, okay, they could use a wall here or something like that?
Yeah, so individual departments move around the city from time to time, and finance has been in its location for quite some time. It has not particularly grown in terms of the number of authorized positions, but as we're looking at the best use of this main facility here at 300 West Cotton Street, I mean, one option that you could do is just, could you make the information services place work for that team if we did some rearranging of it, but you have this opportunity to not only help one business unit, but to help the other business unit. It's a win-win for them if it's something that the council wants to pursue. And again, it was just a conversation, and we'll see if council wants to move forward. It certainly is their prerogative. If they did this, it would be choosing to spend money out of our general fund reserves. So certainly we're not saying that this is something that should happen, but we were asked to present some recommendations of if they chose to allocate some funds, what would be a good use of those funds. And the city manager believes that this would be a use of those funds that would improve employee morale and also improve our ability to serve our residents.
Is there a certain amount of funds that are I guess, be like, this would be okay to give on this project, like a general assembly?
Yeah, absolutely. So for each of the one-time items that Rollin presented at Thursday's council meeting, he included a rough proposed budget. He didn't even really want to get too deep into the numbers until council said we're interested in it, but the number associated with this project was about $700,000. Now, it's possible that we could reduce that as we actually move forward. I certainly don't think we would go over that by any means, but that was a part of about a $2.6 million list of options that council could consider if they wanted to use some of our general fund reserves in that manner.
Sure, okay. And say if this does happen after they're like, okay, we want to go through this and whatnot, when people walk inside the city hall, does it look like construction? Is it kind of like a roadway where you have one person walking? Like, what would that look like inside of here?
Yeah, we were having that conversation earlier today, and we don't fully know. There's only so much planning you want to do before council says, yes, we want to pursue this, because you don't want to waste time making all those plans if it's not something council is interested in. But it would mean relocating these personnel to other places in the city, other properties we own, other offices, such that there is space then for contractors or workers to come in and make the necessary changes to renovate the spaces and bring them back. And so if they said yes, I would imagine in the coming year, there's some period of time where information services and where finance aren't where they currently are, but they're, housed somewhere else in the city to make sure they can continue serving the residents, but also we can get these places renovated and get them into their new homes if council chooses to go that way. So there's a lot of departments in the city that directly serve the residents. And then there are a few departments in the city that support those. And so information services is one of those divisions and one of those departments that touches everything. They are vital for any way the city serves residents. They're the people behind the scenes. And it's not just the city of Longview. They provide information service and GIS support for the city of Kilgore. They provide GIS support for the city of Henderson. They provide map support for Gregg County. One thing that people don't realize is that our professionals in our information services department are regionally impactful. And so certainly, when was the last time you went a day without interacting with the computer or the internet? Imagine what happens to the city of Longview if this department isn't functioning top notch. And so we do rely on them every day for the work we do. And so certainly it matters that they are in a position and able to continue to provide that service for our employees, and consequently, we are able to provide that level of service for our residents.
Okay.